Okay, call to order the 6 p.m. public hearing on Chapter 169 Village Code, Bills and Traffic. The new village code will change the speed limit in the village from 30 miles an hour to 25 miles an hour, and identifies all the stop signs in the village, including the new ones on Washington Street. It would increase the penalties and fines that were suggested by the village attorney. Anybody like to make public comments on the village changes to Chapter 169 vehicles and means? Betty, you want to stand up and say your name?
Betty Evans, 92 Days Road, I think it's kind of ridiculous to change it to 24. I think you'll even mind 30. Nobody even does 30, so. All the money spent to change signs.
You know, we can't hear.
Excuse me, I did, no,
not you.
No, we just been talking and.
sorry. Who do you want to hear?
You. Yeah. We want to hear them, we want to hear you. We can't hear anybody.
I think it's ridiculous to change the speed to 25 miles an hour when nobody even minds the 30 miles an hour. I mean, it's just a lot of money spent on signs, and I don't see any sense in that at all. And any monies that they would have extra in that department, I'd rather they paid the white stop signs at different places than lowering it to 25, I think is useless.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Have we thought?
Can you stand up, say your name?
Yeah. Have we thought about putting in a couple of those? Okay. Where I am?
Name.
Okay. Debbie Meek, 8 Washington Street. And I wondered, had we thought about, since we are worried about the speed, and I have no objection to the 25 miles an hour, have we thought about putting in a couple of those solar speed things? Because I find when I watch people, when it flashes up how fast you're going, that seems to be a really effective way to get people to notice that they're going too fast. And I see people slow down. They have one of those up by the school, and I've seen them, other places throughout the town. But that would be my suggestion too.
I see that too.
Yes. What is the current?
Stand up, say your name.
Oh, Cindy Davis, Berkshire Avenue. What is the current fine with the stop signs?
There's no fine for
I
stop
think it's
signs.
$50. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's $50.
Okay.
So we're tripling the fine?
No, it's not
That
triple.
was 150.
Was it
Maybe I
75?
might be wrong.
It's 75.
It was 75,
It's not a
yeah.
triple.
So it's, you're doubling it.
Yes.
And what about those graduated speed bumps? Would they be better on some of the roads to slow traffic down as opposed to the stop signs? They stop and you can take off again. So, that's my point.
Anyone else?
Dinah Fidias, 61 Washington Street. So I would like to know, okay, so I know there's some people that have concerns about people driving too fast. There was the village security people recorded people, and they found that people were not speeding except for at the top of Washington Street, which all of these stop signs don't deal with anyway. But the rationale then for reducing the speed limit is because some people, I guess, think it's too fast to be going 30 miles an hour. And all of these stop signs are being put in. But what's the rationale for increasing the fine? These fines are very high. How many tickets are currently given for the stop signs that we do have? And so it doesn't seem to me that what the rationale is for having really super high expense on it, and how often is this really a problem?
Well, one, hopefully it's a deterrent,
How often is it a problem?
a lot. And also it gives us, the village, a way to have flexibility to negotiate when we're in court.
Do you have a number on how much of a problem it is?
Lois?
Okay, well, to me, a lot is, I mean, if you're gonna do this, a lot is not specific enough information. I would think, first of all, it seems to me like it's a gimmick to raise money for the village because the budgeting is incorrect. So that's my gut feeling, I have no proof of anything, but that's my gut feeling. Second, if indeed there is a lot, before you do a law like this, I would think you would want to have statistics, because it's a big burden on the residents. The stop signs are,
It's a big burden to stop.
yes, it's a
It is.
big burden to have, first, to have everything to stop, and it looks crappy. It looks like, when you drive down, when you go, what is it, Halleck, is that
Yeah,
the
Halleck,
one?
yeah.
Halleck, there's a stop sign, and there's a stop sign, it's like, we don't want anybody here. It's like very.
These are the stop signs that we already have.
Okay,
Yeah, there's no,
What?
these are the stop signs that we already have.
yes, there's only two
There's no
additional
additional
signs that were
sign.
added on Washington. The rest of them have been in the village for, I don't know, 100 years.
Okay, all right, so then,
So,
okay, so then,
So they've been there.
okay, it just looks like a lot, a page and
No,
a
it's
half.
maybe
I
it's
mean,
the
I
stop
must
signs
admit-
that are-
I must admit, I haven't done a survey of stop signs.
The new ones are on Washington Street.
Okay, I haven't done a survey, thanks, Joe, I haven't done a
Okay.
survey of the stop signs. But I would think you would have to have more than, you would have to have more statistics than a lot to change, to really say, give a reason for having this law.
Yeah, Dean Peterson, 96 Van Brunt. I gather that this reduced speed limit is going to be village-wide.
Yes.
And I was speaking yesterday to the town clerk, village clerk here in Port Jeff, asking him what their experience was in slowing down Barnum Avenue and so on. And in particular, what the process was, because 30 miles an hour is part of the New York State Standard Code, and so there were questions in my mind about what is involved in lowering the speed limit. Excuse me. He said that their experience was that it was simply a matter of doing a village code change, which is what the process is here. But he doubted that the state would accept a blanket village-wide speed limit reduction.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm just curious what percentage of code enforcement time is going to be spent just sitting at stop signs instead of patrolling the village for the safety of the village and the residents? Are they going to be tied up now, sitting at particular stop signs waiting to catch somebody? I'd rather they be monitoring the village and going around, checking that everything's okay, and not somebody rolling through a stop sign. Can you answer?
No,
What
I
percentage
don't know
they
the
would be?
percentage yet. I don't know the percentage, but we'll take your comment into consideration.
Hi, Andy, 103 Chestnut Avenue. I just want to add, if you put too many stop signs, it deters the fuel. You use more fuel to stop and go, stop and go, stop and go.
Joe, I have a question. Years ago, there was some pretty famous cases with villages and police duties as opposed to security people. And I remember that the villages were stopped from enforcing moving violations
That's
because
correct.
they were not police.
Yes,
Has that changed?
no. So, but they cannot enforce New York State moving violations or, it hasn't changed. They don't have what's called peace officer
Yeah,
status.
right.
And for that reason, they cannot make what's called an arrest.
Mhm.
And an arrest is any type of a stop. But that's not,
They can do speeding and stop
they
signs?
they cannot do what's called an arrest, which is stopping a moving vehicle.
Mhm. So if
But
somebody
again-
runs a red stop sign, they can't go after them?
They can't do a pursuit and then an arrest, a stop. But, again, this law is really not changing anything. I think there's two signs here that are being added. Everything,
No, I'm not
Yeah.
not talking about that. Enforcement is what I'm concerned.
yeah.
Does it open us up to lawsuits? Because we don't have the authority to do this.
No, the public safety officers in the village are very well aware what the law is. We work with them closely all the time. to make sure that they work within the confines of the law.
Okay, so you think that this will be fine?
Yes, there's no enforcement that will change based on this local law. There's no more enforcement or less enforcement. We will continue to work with,
But they can write the tickets?
again, they cannot do an arrest or they can't do a stop or an arrest.
So what will they be doing? I don't, you know.
They're pretty much the same thing they're doing now, you know, it's not,
They can't
So-
write tickets.
they, I mean, but we have Suffolk County comes into the village, they.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
so,
so Suffolk County can come in and give
yeah,
tickets?
Suffolk County will come in and give the tickets, yes.
Okay.
What's going on.
Any other comments? John?
John Lane on Van Brunt. It's my understanding, so as we've just heard, that our code enforcement officers can't make or cite someone who stopped at a stop, or didn't stop at a stop sign. The same thing goes for a moving violation in speed. So what is the purpose of reducing the speed limit if our officers can't apprehend such person?
Our hope
It
is that
doesn't
people
matter
just slow
what
down.
speed limit we have.
Yeah, I think the intent is that people have a lower speed limit, that they look at it and slow down more.
Well, I think that if our officers can't apprehend someone at 30, they can't do it at 25 either. I think that there's no point in reducing the speed limit.
Is there someone back there? Oh, Roger.
Yeah, Roger Flood, Van Brunt Manor Road. One of the things that is different regarding stop signs is the existing law mentions stop lines as something that you were supposed to stop at. This doesn't discuss stop lines at all, just talks about signs, and in some cases those can be vehicle length or more away from the intersection. So there's wording about, so apparently one can stop before a stop line, some arbitrary distance, I guess, and then not stop at the actual intersection. So I'd want to know how this compares with the state law, because presumably it can't be more restrictive, or if the state is going to issue these tickets, or the county, then it has to meet their requirements, and it won't if they have different requirements. But it seems that the village would be better off to maintain its stop lines and have the stop sign apply to the stop lines. The other question I had was regarding parking. There's a comment about sidewalks. Are there sidewalks in the village?
No, but that's just part of the verbiage that's in the.
Okay, and when there's talk about parking on roadways, does that include only the paved surface or the whole right-of-way of the road?
The roadway,
Is which?
the paved block.
Paved surface?
Mhm.
Dan Wolski, Chestnut Avenue. I'd just like to say that I believe it's unethical to look to your village to increase your revenue, and perhaps instead of taking the money to order new signs, maybe the village could, one, send out a mailing encouraging people to drive safely. Two, the village could host defensive driving to not only ensure our safety in the village, but that the residents, when they are outside of the village, drive safely, and that they can return safely to Poquott. I think it would be way more effective.
We did that on the first day of school, and we actually had people that just went right past the school bus. Why it was flashing, why kids were getting on the bus, right around the bus. So, maybe it has to get out more, I'm not sure, but I think it's a good idea. Any other comments?
These are the problems, okay? The speeding and whatnot can be overlooked. This is the problem. People are looking at their phones, looking down at their dashboards, changing their radio stations. I've almost gotten hit 3 times cutting my lawn and looking up because I know someone's coming around that corner. What are they doing? Looking at their phone, looking down, okay? That's the problem. Not the stop signs, not the speed, phones.
Any other comments?
Gotta find a way to do it.
Yeah, with the phones, not the.
What are you gonna do with the phones?
But this
You gonna
is
put your phone
superfluous.
down?
This is superfluous.
It's gotta start
Then
somewhere.
you have a nice bite voice.
Betty Evans, Van Brunt. I just have one other thing to say. Years ago, Nelson, Voorhees, and Polk did a survey of stop signs. And they said the stop sign at Van Brunt and White Pine was unnecessary. That there should be only a stop sign at White Pine, and that Van Brunt should not have stop signs. And the reason I would go for that is that many people that live in the White Pine area don't even stop at the stop sign. They come whipping around there. And I think if they knew that there wasn't a stop sign on the Van Brunt side, maybe they would give it a little more caution.
Any other comments? All right, do we want to close this public hearing, or do we want to adjourn the January with the additional comments?
I think there's some good points made. I would like to talk a little bit about it.
Okay, so I'm gonna adjourn it then. I'm gonna make a motion to keep this public hearing open for the January meeting. Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I call to order the new chapter 120, property maintenance. Jeff, you wanna give a little overview of that?
I do, I just want to introduce it. Let me just ask, show of hands, how many people have had a chance to read the proposed new code? Good. Quick question, how many people have read the state property maintenance code? Could be one. The, I should read this to you. The state has passed uniform code for property maintenance. It was adopted March 9th, 2016, and it's effective, was effective as of April 6th, 2016. So we have a property maintenance code already. So anybody who says, I don't think we need it, why are you doing that, whatever, we are already subject to a code that nobody knows. It's difficult to access, or at least way more difficult than the Poquott codes. It's very lengthy because it covers all types of municipalities. Municipalities like cities that have high-rise apartments and big commercial downtown areas and the like. So we are encouraged. I have two different resources here. One says we're required, the other says we're encouraged. Villages to have their own laws. And the state code does not give us any guidance. And in fact, if anybody here has trouble falling asleep at night, get in your favorite chair, open up the state code, and in 15 minutes you'll be slumped over and drooling. It's tough reading. So this code, which we put together from existing codes of other villages and municipalities, and I thank Frank Schaefer for doing the bulk of the work, is from the people who have read it, who have spoken to me about it, it's common sense, it's easily read. It doesn't have controversial things such as the bird feeder issue that we had a couple of years ago that people got upset about. But the nice thing about it is that it is accessible. You go to the village website, you click on documents and records and documents, and there's the link and you have the code. And you can access it much more easily because it's just not as long and there's not as much verbiage as the state code. So when we get to having people make comments, I guess I would encourage people to comment on content rather than the need or not the need. Because, what?
The mayor isn't here.
Yeah. Okay, well, let me finish and then we'll get on. So that's the background of why we're having the law and here tonight. In terms of content, as I mentioned, there's a lot of generally accepted issues regarding property maintenance, and we've used a number of those, but we have had a number of issues in the village. I'm sure everybody's aware, we had a substandard house burned to the ground. Adjoining structures were affected, fortunately no casualties. We've had a corner property used as a junkyard for construction debris. We've had a balcony built without a railing. We only have to look no further than the house under construction for now 3 years next door to Village Hall, who, whatever his issues, he has had no regard for his neighbors and the appearance and so on. So what we've tried to do is to put on the books things that would address when push comes to shove. Most people take care of their property in their house. Most people put their stuff around back. Most people, the construction proceeds and everybody manages to get around the trucks and whatever, and it's over and life goes on. When we're faced with an issue, we never had it on the books. We do. I think it's easy reading. It's very accessible. So in all those respects, I think it's a good thing. And my own personal bias, if you want to call it that, is that if we're going to have a law, it should serve the residents. We should be able to find out what we're allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do, what we need a permit for, because we just click on it and we can find out and we don't have to jump through hoops. So that's the law. What I would just ask is that this is a long evening, and I would just ask you to be succinct, and hopefully if you find fault with something, please don't say, I'm against it, it's never going to work. Offer a suggestion. This is how I would go about solving that problem. That would be appreciated. Can I proceed, or do we have to make a...
Well, don't we, I mean, it's a late meeting because the mayor put everything on hold, and then the mayor has the audacity to walk out and not even respect
The
what we
mayor
have to
was
say.
called out by the officials, so she has the audacity, she was asked to come out.
Let's keep, whatever your feelings are, let's see if we can stay focused. I have no problem continuing. It's already getting close to 7:30.
Well,
so-
she's one of the people who has to vote, so shouldn't she be here to listen to what we have to say? I mean,
Well,
she was called out, then.
available.
Unless she's already decided that she's gonna
Yeah, we know.
If you feel strongly, we can sit here again, but I really don't want to do
I
that.
could.
Can we proceed? Anybody have a problem with that?
No, you have no problem with that.
It's being
In the
recorded,
absence
so
of
if
the
anybody
mayor, the
wants-
deputy mayor will take over,
Okay,
and that's me.
There you go.
I will take
Well,
over.
then the mayor shouldn't be allowed to vote
Yes, she
on
is.
this issue.
Yes, she is, relax,
All
yes, she
right.
is.
Okay, good.
Oh,
Jeez.
relax.
With the comments, okay. Have you done explaining?
Yes.
Okay.
I have two issues with the law. It is very subjective. Case in point, what was done to Trustees Park, some people think is beautiful. Others of us feel it was a destruction of the natural beauty of the village and what attracted people here. So there are two very distinct ideas of what's appropriate in property, and I don't think it's the village's business to tell me if my shrubs are overgrown, which is what it's saying, or, I mean, I can see safety issues, but not the landscaping or how I want that. My other issue is there is no opportunity for appeal or to discuss. You look at that, you get a 10-day notice, if you don't take care of it, here come the fines. No, you should have a time to meet with the board or somebody to discuss why it's like that and what the issue is. Not just all of a sudden start slapping fines once the clock starts ticking.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah.
No, I respond. Let me reiterate. We've had issues that in the village were not easily rectified without a law. In most cases, the way our village operates is that it, and you're right, there's no accounting for people's sense of aesthetics. So we're really not getting into the aesthetics. The main thing about the property maintenance law is public safety and also maintaining certain standards, which does not include, you know, whether the shrubs are a little higher or a little lower, but when we have zombie houses that are totally overgrown, when we have issues of people saying, it's my property and I can do what I want because I have rights, to hell with all my neighbors. Usually what happens is somebody from code says something. Most people say, okay, I'll take care of it. Every once in a while, somebody digs in their heels and they say, no, I won't. Well, now we have a law. The law then says, yes, you have 10 days, and then you get a summons. You don't get a fine. You get a summons. You have your day in court. And that's the way our entire legal system operates.
Village Hall gets complaints every single day about people's property, and you don't even know about it because exactly what he said. Code goes there that night, tells them what needs to be done, and within it, we give them a week, and we go back, and it's usually taken care of. And if it's not, they tell us when it's gonna get taken care of. For most of the majority of the residents that live in the village, this doesn't affect them.
But I'm reading here, the notice is served by registered mail, identifies, and they're in violation, and the time within to complete the remedy. There is no thing about going to court, there is no thing about, I mean, it's not in there.
Because we don't have that in most of our laws, what the process is. It's a separate thing. If you get a summons, you have to appear in court. Right?
It's a notice, it's not, that's what I'm saying, it's not a summons to appear in court, and that's why I wanna know that there's some kind of process to appeal what you are being criticized about.
It'll be in the law. We have to have a law, that's a starting point. And then there's the resolution of the problem. What I think is lost in this, and I know, I'm well aware of the issues within the village, and some people are gonna be oppositional no matter what we put out there. But most of the problems come between neighbors. And we get complaints about the visual. We get complaints about noise, audio. We get complaints about noxious smells, odors that are coming not even from the building, within the village. If we had a commercial district and a bad restaurant, we'd probably have complaints about the sense of taste. So all of the senses are, the fact is, we're trying to have a place where we can start from. And you need to have a law, and as I said at the outset, there already is a law. And if you want to spend the time and go into the state law is way more restrictive. So this is an opportunity for us to have, and I mentioned this is another meeting, so excuse me for repeating myself. A law like this, like a lot of the codes within a village, is like a roadmap. It's like a budget where you say, this is where we're going to put our resources. This has our attention. And so we're saying, we would like it that people attend to their shrubs, or whatever, okay? We're not saying, like some places, that you have to take your garbage cans in after they're collected. We're not saying you have to choose a certain color paint for your house. These are issues that are widely accepted. It's certainly, if you go into the state, way, way more restrictive in terms of what they say you can and cannot do. So we have chosen what we think is a nice middle ground, and then if you feel that you're being given a bad deal, you have your day in court. So I don't think it's like you're painting it out to be.
Well, that's what I don't see that in the law, that's why.
Diana?
I say your hand was up first. Do you want to talk? Her hand's been
No, I'm
up
calling
longer.
you, so.
But her hand's been up longer, so
Okay,
I'll
thank you
talk
very much
after
for
her.
thinking, but we're calling on you, so are you not commenting?
I will comment.
Okay,
All right,
I'm
go
gonna
on,
move on to the next
don't call
person.
me.
All right,
Okay.
so I did read the state law, and the state law, I don't understand why we need a new law that we're already covered by. The state law already, and some of this is in the state law. The state law, it's not that challenging to read. So I do encourage you guys to try and read it. But mainly what it covers is health and safety issues and So, and a lot of these things that were mentioned here are already covered by our building code laws, right? That, our building code is what should be dealing with things like unsafe
You're supposed
decks
to be addressing the
and
board,
things like that. Okay,
but you're not.
Fine.
Okay.
I'll
Addressing
address the
audience.
board.
Okay,
So,
so you're addressing the audience.
I would like, okay, if you all have not read have you all read the thing?
Please.
It,
Can I
it,
read what it says, we're required to do it? Can I tell you that?
Can I just finish my statement,
Well,
please? Well, this is a public hearing, I guess? Okay, so, to a large extent, the things that are in this law are in the state law. And the state law deals with sanitary issues, it deals with safety issues. The state law does not say things like unsightly. Unsightly is an ill-defined word. What does that mean? What is unsightly to me is obviously very different to what's unsightly to other people, because right now I find a lot of the things that have been done around the village unsightly, but other people find them aesthetically appealing. Those are a matter of personal taste. And to have someone else decide that if a small tree goes down in my yard and it's not hurting anything, but it's a place where woodpeckers nest, it's a place where I have owls nesting in my yard, why do I have to remove it? Because of someone else's aesthetic. If public view, and it says things must be not in public view, it's not clear what that means. Does that mean just from the street, or just from the street in front of your house? Because many of us live in hilly kinds of places. Is it the street from someone else's house? The state law doesn't say anything about having your lawn chairs not put away from the front porch of your house. It doesn't say those sorts of things. Those sorts of things are in here. Those are a matter of personal taste. They're not a matter of safety. They're not a matter of health. They're not a matter of having someone's house burned down or other things. They aren't things that matter.
Actually, in the New York State law, where you said unsightly refers to tree trimming, and actually the New York State law says you have to keep trees trimmed.
Louder, please.
So,
But it doesn't say unsightly.
yeah, I'm not sure if it does or doesn't, but
It does not say unsightly. It's really easy, you can do a PDF search of the word.
Diana, can I address your first point, which was, why do we have this law? Again, now this is under 1203.2, Programs for Administration and Enforcement, State of New York Department of State, Division of Code Enforcement and Administration. A, every city, village, town, and county charged under subdivision 2 of section 381 of the executive law with administration and enforcement of the Uniform Code, shall provide for such administration and enforcement by local law, ordinance, and other appropriate regulation. Okay? Secondly, I say to you what I just said to Cindy, which is, nobody is going to make an issue about you having a tree